What is good, Osiris here? Sorry, I'm late on my live. Got caught up. So I want to go over the mentality. I created a discussion, or I did a video the other day on what the real lessons were, the real takeaways were from slavery. And I'm going to continue that in a series of videos, hopefully. Let's go back real quick here to what I reset previously. Where's the strategy? Cut the check isn't a strategy. You don't have the power to get reparations, whether I agree with it or not. You don't have the power to get it. So why are you even talking about it? You didn't learn about lesson number 1. So I'm going to end with this. You didn't learn lesson number 1, don't get enslaved. So you might be enslaved right now. It might not look like it did before. It might be more powerful because you don't even know it. And then most of the people enslaved are actually fighting for their slave owners in a different way to keep power over them, manipulated by race. That is possible. You might want to figure that out first. Yeah, you might want to figure that out. And what I want to say here is I think a good way to describe it is you could be a mental slave. And that can play itself out in different ways. You could be mentally attached to a poisonous idea or a poisonous people. This is an example, just a random example off of Twitter. Person says, repeat after me, reparations are not a gift or handout. It's a debt owed to American descendants of slavery. And he is entitled to his opinion, and it does clarify his opinion to say, hey, I'm not looking for a handout. I will say you still are, to me, it comes across as begging. So you're not asking for a handout, but you're begging for what you consider a debt owed. And I want to go down the path of the mentality, because I personally don't agree with slavery, but that's irrelevant. You could still get it. There's a lot of bills that pass that I don't agree with. There's even bills that happen that are unconstitutional, in my opinion, that pass. So you could still get it. But what's the mentality? Looking back at the last 2 years, we couldn't even stop the government from forcing us to put a diaper on our face. And you're asking for reparations. You don't have self-awareness. You don't have power. If somebody can tell you that you have to put something on your face to go on an airplane, you don't have the power to demand anything from them. Understand that. That doesn't mean you could still possibly get something that they would call reparations. It wouldn't be controlled by you, though. That's for sure. You would have to be happy with what they provided you. You are not controlling them. They are controlling you. So I want to start there. Let's not even talk about reparations. Why are we even talking about that? The View the other day, Sunny Hostin just showed you and everyone the example of what it sounds like to be mentally enslaved. That's what this sounds like.
I have many conservative values that I will talk to you about. And so if you look at your network that you're standing behind, yes, and when you look at your network that you're standing behind, you're saying that you look at Chris Cuomo.
I feel like that's an oxymoron, a black Republican.
You feel like it's an oxymoron?
I do.
Why? Your friend right here is a Republican.
We had this conversation many times.
You do, and you say you feel like it's an oxymoron that you're Catholic, but you also are pro-life.
I don't understand either.
No, you don't understand yourself then. You have disagreements.
I understand myself. I don't understand either of
this. But it's not a personal conversation. Yeah. We're having a personal conversation about CNN and how things can get leaked.
And I don't understand Latino Republicans.
Well, here's what
So Sunny says that it's an oxymoron to be a black Republican. So what she's saying is, if you're black, you can't choose to be a non-Democrat, is what she's saying. Does that make sense to you? She sounds like a KKK member from back in the day. That was their whole thing. They were the strong arm of the Democrat Party. I'm like, you gonna vote Democrat. So she says, basically, you cannot be black and choose to not be you can't be black and choose not to be a Democrat. That is a slave mentality. Sonny, I can be whatever the hell I want to be. Let's get that out the way. It can be an oxymoron to you, but let's just make sure we're clear on that. And this isn't a pro-Republican position that I have here. Someone on Twitter was looking up, we were having a discussion on reparations. They looked at my timeline. They said that I am licking white people's boots, thinking that will save me in my position on slavery. I'm the one licking. They're the ones begging the government for money, whether you think it's a debt owed or not. And I'm the one licking somebody's boots. And how did he prove that? He just went to my Twitter and looked at who I was following, and I guess he thought they were white people, which they probably are. I don't know or care. Who knows what's behind the screen? But he thought that meant something. He's such a mental slave. He's still on the plantation, y'all. He's like, you can't follow white people. Otherwise, you're not black or whatever you want to label. I almost want to be like, Nickel, would you wake up? It's 2022. If you want to say, hey, you're following someone who says this and I disagree with it, gotcha. But to think you can't follow white people and understand you can follow anyone. I follow Sunny on Twitter. Obviously, we don't agree on much. I follow Jamel Hill on Twitter. This is, you can't talk about reparations until you free yourself. You're still not free. It's hard. I don't even want, I'm against Juneteenth, but I think about it and I'm like, the word still hasn't gotten out. You can run. You can run away. Brandon Straka, you can walk away. I say run. Run like your life depends on it from any corporate institution because they're against you. So this is the mentality that has to be broken. I go and I look at the exit polls, and this one's going to start at 2016. I couldn't find an interactive one that started at 2020, but the story's still the same. It's not a different story. This is the general election, broken down by race, however they break down race. Let's look at the black vote in the general election. 2016, obviously, this was Trump. 88% of black people voted for Democrats in the general election. 2016. 2012, 93%. 2008, 95%, obviously Obama years. 2004, 88% Blackwood Democrats. 2000, 90% Blackwood Democrats. 1996, 84% Blackwood Democrats. 1992, 83% Blackwood Democrats. 88, 86% Blackwood Democrats. 1984, 90% Blackwood Democrats. 1980, 85%. This is the last year I have, I think. Oh, no, I got 72. 76, 83%. 72, 82%. That was the lowest percentage in all of those general elections that I showed you, was 82% of the black vote going Democrat. Does that make any goddamn sense to you? What kind of allegiance are we owed to a Democrat Party? For what? I might just vote something else just out of spite, just to make sure you know you don't control me. It's the only demographic that follows like that. This is what needs to be addressed first. And I can take the journey with you on this part. Once you get to the place where you start going and asking for reparations, I'm not against you, but I'm out. But I can help you on this journey. You need a journey towards liberty and independence. That's the point of this. Someone needs to help guide you towards that. There's a million different parties. Don't try to turn this into a Republican thing. There's a Green Party. There's a Working Families Party. There's a Alliance Party. There's the People's Party. I think that's the Jimmy Dore one. There's a Constitution Party. You can make your own party. You don't have to be in a party. Let's start there. We look at these Democrat-run cities. Let's just take Seattle. Pick any one of them. Just pick one. They're all run by Democrats, but pick a major city and look at the history of elections at the mayoral level. This picture is Seattle, and it just shows it as a hellhole. These are the same people who want you to believe in critical theory of gender and race and want to put all these different ideas in your head. But when you look at the substance on the ground, everything that they touch turns to trash, except in their areas where they live, the politicians. This is Seattle, a beautiful city. Same story in San Francisco, beautiful city. Turned to an absolute hellhole. So I'm not saying that necessarily a different party would do better, but what I am saying is this is a list, it will be hard to see, but this is a list going back to 1969, all Democrats. I'm not saying that the Republicans would have done any better, or Green Party, or even Libertarians, but damn it, try something else. This doesn't make any sense. That's the anomaly, not a black Republican. And it would be the same thing, though, if you're a black Republican and you can't break away from that. That's why I respect Officer Tatum a lot. After Trump lost, he was like, I'm not lying with necessarily. It doesn't have to be Trump. It doesn't have to be Republicans. I have my views, period. I'm not attached to them as the only option. So it can happen in all different ways. How does that manifest itself on the streets? What it turns into is you've got this relationship with this poisonous political party, and you're literally begging the politicians for rent money.
Right. You cannot get Section 8 vouchers here. But who put that information? 8 vouchers is a long line. We are fighting in Washington in something called the Build Back Better program. I put $25 billion that we're fighting to give people more Section 8. Now, the money that is available is for the absolute homeless under the emergency program. And that's what you started signing up for today. But because it could not be organized in a way, the workers that we forced to come down here from LASA and place to take the applications, they have put down their laptops and they are gone. There are no more applications.
Did they move locations, Maxie? Because I'm hearing one is on Wilshire. Did they move another location where they're taking apps? Is there any more locations than this one?
No, it might have been just so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
we don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss can you talk? Yeah. Miss Waters, can you home we gonna go to?
Yeah. Just a moment. Just a moment. Nothing is going to happen here today. Nothing is going to happen anymore today.
So what about all these names?
What we're gonna that's what give me.
Well, can you leave?
Excuse me.
Can you leave?
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And so I will be downtown with LASA. I will get the housing authority. That's why they came out here today. I made them come out here. And I'm going to go.
And you need to know why they're failing, because Blanca Jimenez repeated, we gave her several meeting requests for you concerning this in LASA for years.
Well, and now
that's
there's nobody in Washington who works for their people in harder than I do.
I believe you.
I don't want to hear that.
I believe you. So can we finish though? Work with me.
No.
Work with me so we can house people. That's what I do.
I do every day.
What you do every day? I'm still on the damn
the
street.
money that you got
She's 70 years, she doesn't cash it out.
in Washington, D.C. I will continue to work. I will get the information. I will no more about you today.
That's Maxine Waters. She's represented her district since 1991. Y'all kept voting her again and again and again. Same with Jim Clyburn, and again and again and again. You're a mental slave. And we have to address that first. I don't even want to talk about who would get it, what would get. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't even want to talk about this, especially not in this video. That has to be addressed first. Literally begging for rent money. So I'm not blaming the people who are in tough times. What I'm saying is that has to be addressed first. There's a vicious cycle where people, this is toxic. They're saying, I need reparations because I can't get rent money. In order to get reparations through our civics, the civics that we have in our country, you need to amass power. You have no wealth, you have no power, you can't get reparations, but you say you need reparations to get power. That is asinine. You've got opportunity. You first need to turn that opportunity into something special. And by the time you get the power to get reparations or to try to force that action, you'll be in a much better place mentally and financially and politically. They are flooding the borders with illegal immigrants, and there should be no one, if you are this identitarian that's like, oh, I got to vote them, I got to vote them, I got to vote them. They are trying to dilute your power right before your very eyes, the power of all Americans, but especially you. They're hedging their bets against you. So we can make all these illegal immigrants, they would love to make every single one of them citizens and to allow them to vote. Do you think your opportunity to get reparations increases or decreases when that happens? They're flooding across the border as we speak right now. But you're busy marching on abortion. Why? Because they told you to. This chase for reparations has become so toxic that you don't even look at what's right before your very eyes. You can't be moving forward. We're in a car driving forward and you're looking back and you're still looking back and you're still looking back and the car's moving forward. You're going to crash into something. Yes, you got to look around, you got to look back, but pay attention to where you're going first and foremost. And this is right before your eyes, a very obvious thing that should be, if you're an identitarian like this or anybody in the country, that is something that should happen. The government is taking our tax money and you send your kids to school. It should be our choice where we send them to school. It shouldn't be tied into a damn zip code. So I threw this out question directly to Nicole Hannah-Jones before she blocked me on Twitter. Because the talented 10th, the one thing that they don't like is to be checked or questioned or challenged. I said, Nicole Hannah-Jones, would you be for allowing citizens to take their tax dollars, say you spend, they spend $10,000 of tax money per student, or I'm just throwing out a number, it's more than that, but they spend $10,000 of tax money on a student per school year. Give me that $10,000, or if I get a little bit less because it's not in bulk or something like that. Give me $5,000 of that dollars. I go to whatever school I want. If I want to homeschool them, I keep that $5,000 to buy supplies or do whatever I want to do with it. or I can put it towards private school or whatever. But the money that goes to school, we need competition. So you see these identitarians don't think about that idea. They don't latch onto the idea because the idea isn't latched on with race, even though that idea could disproportionately help you. You ignore it because you keep looking back to, there's this debt owed. Ain't nothing owed to you. And you keep missing the opportunities and where you need to be in the present. It's time to break up with the Democrat Party and try something else. It's deeper than that. It's a mentality that we have to get towards. But I'm going to end with this. For a group that is so focused on slavery, like obsessed with it, I think the obsession might have been handed out. I'm not blaming anybody. You can have that opinion, but it is an obsession. And for a group that is so obsessed by it, and I think it could have been handed down by genetics even. I'm not an expert. Maybe I'm off on that, but that's how thick it is. It feels like this obsession has been handed down genetically. For a group so focused on slavery, you would think they would be the strongest leaders, the strongest proponents of liberty in the present. But what if you've never really left slavery? It just changed forms. That would be the most logical sense. It would make the most logical sense. That's what's happened. Before reparations, you would think our ancestors, even though our ancestors enslaved other people, it was just common back then. But our ancestors were enslaved. You would think liberty is the priority before reparations or anything else. Would be, I don't want to be enslaved like they were. I don't want to be controlled against our will. Power should be with the people. So why wouldn't you align with the Libertarian Party? I could understand that. I could understand if you were an identitarian on that side and you lined 90% with, and it's not even about the Libertarian Party, it's libertarian ideal. And I'm going to play a clip from comic Dave Smith, and he literally says that. He's like, to me, the number one dude in the Libertarian Party. He's like, he basically said, I don't give a ish about the Libertarian Party. I care about liberty. The party is just a vehicle at this point to help those ideas get out there. There should be no one in our country more obsessed and consumed with the idea of liberty than these identitarians who talk about slavery. And I'm going to leave you out here. I got to run, so I'm sorry I didn't get all the chats. I'm going to leave you out with comic Dave Smith. And that pretty much, to me, explains my ideology. It's been a heck of a journey. This is not a journey that came easy. I am aligning with, but I have to educate myself. That's why the only reason I'm hesitant is because I'm not an expert in the concept. The thing about liberty, the thing about going towards the liberty route that I think scares a lot of people is there's no one telling you what to do. There's no one telling you what to believe. So what that means is you got to figure it out on your own. And it's not that I'm saying that no one needs help and no one needs government help in that. That's not what I mean. I mean that if you're a libertarian, you say, okay, a pandemic happens. I listen to all the experts, even experts I don't like, and I come to my own conclusion. And that you do that with every subject matter that exists. And that can be scary. But that's not what needs to happen before we start talking about reparations. Let me know what you think. Take care.
I became a libertarian about 11 years ago. I was a child of the Ron Paul movement, and like many people here, when I was introduced to these ideas, they changed my life. I immediately, like so many of you, when these ideas click with you, I was like, I'm going to be a soldier in the liberty movement for the rest of my life, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I will continue to do. That's what I care about. You know, I heard Nick recently, I was watching a video of his when he was doing a debate for the LP chairmanship, and he said, as the chair of the LP, the party is paramount. I don't look at things that way. I will tell you right now, I don't care about the Libertarian Party. I don't care about it at all. I don't care how many votes they get. I don't care how much fundraising they get. I definitely don't care if Nick's able to work out a $75 an hour deal from them, okay? That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just saying what I care about. What's paramount to me is liberty. I care about the liberty movement. I care about the philosophy of libertarianism, the most beautiful, brilliant political philosophy ever devised by man. I care about actually seeing liberty in real people's lives. Now, just to be clear, I don't have to go off on this to you people, but the philosophy of libertarianism is the philosophy of peace. It's the philosophy of prosperity. And as I've come more and more to realize, it's the philosophy of civilization. I mean, what better describes civilized behavior than the non-aggression principle and respect for private property rights? It's what you would teach your 3-year-old as they go into the world. Don't hit other people and don't take their stuff.